What's up, desktoppers? Xavier Wills here for Desktop Bodybuilding, and we are back for another episode of Bodybuilding University. And today I am joined by three IFB pros. We might even have a fourth joining us shortly as well. We've got Carlos Thomas Jr., we've got Dawid, and man, I'm going to let you say your own last name.
That's two IFBB pros because I'm not yet. I hopefully am not yet to be a IFBB pro. It's just call me David, or David or David. Don't bother saying the surname. It's Czechovich. You're not going to make it.
No, you're not going to
Don't
make it.
waste.
Dude, I don't know if you saw balloons went up behind you when you did some sort of a hand action.
Yeah, I don't know.
I did that before as well. I was talking to like my kids on WhatsApp and I did some sort of, I think I did like a love heart thing. And then like all these love hearts popped up behind me. I'm like, what? How are these apps and everything all of a sudden doing this to us? I don't know. It's weird. But anyway, we've also got Robin Strand, IFB Pro on the podcast as well, who we just commented right before we started. He is looking clean. He looks like a different person to what he did like 3 weeks ago. So obviously a lot leaner. Cheeks have gone, How are you feeling in prep, man?
I'm good, man. Yeah, really good. Thanks for having me.
And you did a guest posing just over the weekend as well.
Yeah, no, that was 2 days ago. Guest posing at Sudbury Classic. It was really fun. So I'm pretty happy with that look and just tighten it up for Toronto and get a good peak and should be good.
Yeah. So, and in terms of like water and stuff like that, obviously, like with your health condition, or you and Carlos can completely relate in terms of that. Can't you? You've both had the same issue with ulcerative colitis. So how does that all go in terms of dropping water? Like you trying to make sure you're pretty low in terms of water retention and stuff now, because it doesn't look like you're holding a ton.
Yeah, I mean the thing is with anyway what I'm dealing with ulcerative colitis. I know Carlos, you have the same issue, but it's different for everybody.
Yeah.
So like normally what I'll feel like, even like if I'm like stressed my body, like even that day I was kind of running around all day just eating and drinking normally, and then I had a little bit of pre-workout, and I think the pre-workout set off my stomach a little bit, so I probably just obviously won't do that for Toronto. But I didn't do anything other than just get on stage basically there after walking around all day. So I feel like I'm in a pretty good spot. I'm not having any like serious flare-ups right now. So that's the main thing, is really just controlling the actual gut itself, like making sure that it feels good, that I'm not having any diarrhea or bloating or things like that when it comes stage time. And that has to do with also just being as calm and relaxed as possible, especially on that day, picking the right foods, and then, like you mentioned, manipulating having the right amount of water and the right amount of sodium, because that's also going to influence the intra and extracellular fluid within your intestines too. So just having the right electrolyte balance plays a big role. And then, yeah, I mean, at some point I'll probably eliminate most of the vegetables and things like that, which I've already started to do, but I'm very happy with that look. It's definitely a much healthier look than I had last year. And like I said, it's kind of just like mitigating the little issues and mitigating the stress, and then just fine tuning and tweaking for the actual pro performance.
Yeah, for sure. Well, man, it's Carlos, bro. Like you guys have to put in so much more effort than other people just to get your body to being healthy as like someone else. You know what I mean? You have to put so much effort to get to that level. Carlos, like how much more, I suppose, stress and effort is it in terms of just overall like mental stress, but also physical stress as well, doing it with ulcerative colitis? Obviously, it varies person to person.
Yeah, it does vary. For me, it's just like Robin said, it's the like a stress thing. Like you want to make sure you're, I mean, you're not. I mean, obviously, prep is stress inherently, like the things you do to your body and the things that we take. So, um, it's some of it's unavoidable, but it's just being smart about what you do. I know for me, this prep, and it's a learning lesson too. So for me, like I learned this prep, like, okay, sometimes orals don't agree with me, and we're gonna have to figure out like different options. And then just overall life stress. Obviously, like when you're going through prep and you're driving food really low and you're doing cardio really high, I mean, other factors outside of prep can stress you out, and so you want to make sure you try to keep yourself in a good state of mind. But when a flare up hits, man, you gotta do your best to just kind of ride it out as best you can, because when it's hitting, man, it can go from a couple days to a couple weeks. So I've known people who have flare ups for like 3, 4, 5 months. So I'm not like that, and hopefully, Robin, you haven't been subjected to long flare ups like that. But yeah, it can get pretty bad. But I think, with the lifestyle that we live with, as far as like eating very clean and almost, I want to say plain, because I eat really plain. I don't really have any like sauces or condiments or even crazy seasonings or a lot of different vegetables for myself. So yeah, there's some restrictions, and it makes things tough. But I don't know, like Robin, like you learned last year a few things, and I'm pretty sure you learned a lot of things this prep going around, like how to mitigate like certain issues that come with having it. But yeah, I gotta say, like it makes things a bit difficult, but it's not impossible. I see people in the comments say, "Hey man, like, oh dude, like that's, I don't know how you're doing it." I'm like, I don't know, man. You just do the best you can. It's like anything else in life. You take the cards you dealt and play them as best you can.
Yeah.
What
I
are the
will. I
food
will say.
sources you guys? What are the food
I,
sources you guys have to eliminate? Like, for example, one of you can't eat pasta or something.
we're
Yeah,
probably very similar.
yeah, probably very similar. I mean, I know I'm pretty much gluten free, not by like choice of like I'm celiac or anything, but just because I noticed that it does upset my stomach. Certain vegetables I can't eat. Like right now, like I find that I can pretty much tolerate cooked. I cook asparagus like steamed or like grilled or seared asparagus, spinach. But sometimes, like I remember when I was getting ready for Brazil, I had lettuce, just like lettuce, and it was, next thing you know, I was to the bathroom, couldn't, yeah, I was going, what I mean? It just
Me
did
too.
not agree with my stomach. So like even like something simple like, oh man, like a salad, I'm like skeptical about having a salad. I'm like, should I not? You know what I mean? Like, and so certain things like that will get you. Um, and I know, like for me, personally, like I don't really have like a lot of spicy foods. Obviously, like some people put a lot of hot sauce on their things. I can't do that. So,
Yeah, they'll
or
wreck you.
or like yeah, mustard. Like high acidic foods, like big condiments and stuff like that. So yeah, it's probably pretty similar to like how you have, Rob. To be honest with you.
Yeah, 100%, man. Yeah, same thing. Like you mentioned with the lettuce, that's a weird thing, but like we had some
It's weird.
shredded lettuce in my diet, and it was giving me issues. So yeah, I mean, basically what I'll do is my diet is mostly just cream of rice 3 times a day. I'll also do just organic basmati rice 3 times a day. That's like the basis of my carbs. Sometimes I'll do some potatoes, white potatoes or sweet potatoes, just to get more nutrition, potassium and stuff like that. But as far as carbs go, and then protein sources, it'll be for me, I'm actually allergic to chicken. Like when I did my food sensitivity test, chicken was out.
Mm.
Like you said, mustard was out. There was other things like walnuts were out, but I'll do macadamia nut oil and macadamia nut butter for my fats. Then I'll have like a grass-fed flank steak 2 or 3 times a day, and then I'll do whitefish for the rest of the meals. But yeah, I mean, it's like you said, it's pretty basic. I think the only vegetables I'm doing right now, I'm doing like an organic fermented sauerkraut, which is really good for my gut. I don't have any issues with that.
That's good.
But
That's good.
yeah, that stuff's really amazing, honestly. And as far as like actual vegetables go, I kind of cut out most of them. Like I'll do like some zucchini. That's pretty much it. But I feel like like honestly, like doing the sauerkraut, you get a better benefit than eating a lot of vegetables anyways. And even if you look at the studies, like most of the studies looking at really high fiber diets versus fermented food diets, generally the fermented food diets are going to give you a better benefit anyways. So I'll do like some blueberries. That's for fruit, but or kiwis and stuff like that. But we kind of cut out most of the fruit now anyways. So I mean, it's kind of like an elimination diet really at the end of the day, and you have to decide what works for you and what doesn't. But I mean, yeah, even sweeteners and stuff like that. Like I try to avoid sucralose as much as possible. I'll do like some stevia a little bit here and there, but just today I'm cutting those out as well. So I mean, it's good. I'll do cinnamon on my food. I'll do some real salt on my food, and the food tastes pretty damn good, so I can't really complain. And I feel good, which is even the most important thing, right? And like you said about orals, no orals at all. The only orals I'll do is the absolute ones that are necessary, like an AI, for example. But everything else, just do everything injectable. I mean, you definitely The one thing that I liked about having colitis is it really showed me that you do not need orals. The orals are super overrated. Even like the Winstrals and Halos and stuff like that, you don't need that to get grainy hard and looking good on stage. So if anything, in my opinion, after knowing what I know now, it just causes more stress on the body. And when your body's stressed out, it's actually harder to look your best. So if anything, I would say not having the orals in there is actually a good thing.
What
I was
about
actually, I was going to bring that up, man, because orals obviously, like, if they're causing some sort of, extra inflammation in the body, obviously it can actually probably set your body back. If you got more, secreting more cortisol maybe in your body because of them, it could, push your body back and actually go backwards in some ways. And you might feel a bit fuller, but you might be holding more water subcutaneously and, and intramuscularly as well. So,
Yeah, and people don't even realize that a lot of the times gut health issues or distended stomachs or issues with peaking on the stage is because your liver is overburdened. Then the liver starts to spill over, and now it's spilling over into your gut. It's spilling over. Now your skin has to detoxify it, and you have a harder time like losing that last little bit of fat or water. So, yeah, I mean, from New York Pro to Toronto Pro last year, I talked about it before, but that's when I cut out all the orals, and then my body just kind of relaxed and looked a lot better. So we're doing the same thing this year, just even like I'll do like a little bit of Proviron right now, and I'll notice even that can cause a little bit of like not a flare up, but like a little bit of like I can feel it. Oh, it's in my stomach kind of a thing, and I just cut those things out because do you really need them? No, you don't need them at the end of the day. So
and for people that are watching as well, and this is that word of a lie, I remember hearing of you having the ulcerative colitis issues around the New York Pro. I believe you did an interview with Dave Palumbo on RX?
yeah,
And I remember hearing about that and I'm going, well, for Toronto, I'm like, oh, it's going to be tough. Like, it influenced my predictions. And you got so much better between those two shows. And to know that that was the difference, that's pretty crazy, because most people would think, okay, well, Robin's got ulcerative colitis. He's going from this show to this show. I don't know how many weeks it was. Like, was it 2 or 3?
it was like 2 weeks, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you look dramatically better. That sort of blew my mind because having that issue and you weren't, you were having issues with it at the time too. I just never thought you'd get better just because I know someone who has ulcerative colitis and know how bad it is. And if you're having a flare up, it's like, I'm like, nah, game over. Like he should stop prepping. I was thinking all of that. And then you ended up, doing so good from it. So
You learn quick
Amazing.
when there's like a time sensitive date. It's like I got to be better on this date. Like you're gonna learn
Mm.
quick and really do what you got to do. But yeah, I mean it was a long flare up, and that was really scary because that was from 3 weeks out to New York from and I am celiac, and that's how I really realized because I was diagnosed celiac in 2020, but they were kind of vague about it. They're like, oh, there's some inflammation. We think it's celiac. But 3 weeks out, I was instructed to have some scones, and I was like, "Oh, buddy, these are gonna be fucking amazing. It's gonna be the best day ever." As soon as I had those scones, I had like 3 or 4 weeks straight of nonstop, and I was like, "Holy crap, that was the scariest thing I ever experienced." Right? So, and you know how it is, Carlos. Like when it's like serious, it's like you don't have any control, man. Like you can't even leave your house without worrying about it. So that's to the point it was, and then finally after New York Pro, then we were slowly reeling it in and Toronto Pro. Even on the day of Toronto Pro, I was like, should I eat right now before the stage? Because I don't know if I'm gonna have enough time to go to the washroom and back. So I better not eat. And then I came in a little bit flat for finals, and Tyler was like, "Hey, you were flat for finals. You should have came in like you did on prejudging." And I was like, "I know, but there's only so much you can do, right?" So at the end of the day, it's all learning, and like I try to look at the positive about stuff. So I just like all the stuff that I did learn about my body. I'm still grateful that it all happened because again, everything happens for a reason. So, and just to make you stronger on the other side of it.
I remember when Meadows spoke about the same thing as you guys do. He first time he like didn't have Vinstrol and he's done the whole prep without it, and he looked the same. Then he like thought, like, yeah, let's try doing it without Tren. He just done it without Tren and he said he looked the same. So are there things that are necessary? Some of them perhaps, but not all of them. Some of them may cause actually more damage than the good.
Yep,
I think it's a
for sure.
comfort blanket
Yeah,
for a lot of
100%.
people, like it's just an impulse. It's like, okay, when I'm this many weeks out, I add in this. When I'm this many weeks out, I add in Halo. This many weeks out, Anavar or whatever. And that's just what they do. And they think to cut that out, it's like, you know what I mean? You do a whole prep and then to not add that in at 4 weeks out or 6 weeks out is like, prep suicide. But really it's,
Yeah.
if you're forced into it, like Robin, you were, and then you do it and you go, oh, yeah, it didn't really make the same difference, you know.
Yeah, it's all in here, right? This is what gets your body to the stage. This is what makes your body look its best. So that's the most important factor for sure.
Don't you guys think that it's a bad impact of the old school guys that actually did it, as you said, Xavier, like 6 weeks out at the trend, 8 weeks out, change the, I don't know, Deca to like Masteron or something like this.
Before, change the slow acting, the long acting test to whatever test at 8 weeks out or whatever,
or something like this. Yeah. And it's just a bad influence, I think, sometimes.
And as a safety thing, it's like, well, if you feel more comfortable going to a faster acting test, well, that far out or whatever, you can do it. Or if you feel more comfortable adding this compound in at this time, it's like you can do it. And it's, you know, if it's sort of like tried and true, like and especially if it's an oil, then it makes sense to sort of add, you know, maybe master on it at this time because there's less water retention. You can see what's happening on the physique more. It just sort of makes sense in that regard. But if you're taking care of the water, if you're confident your body will take care of the water, which you know, Carlos and Robin, maybe with your condition, you're probably maybe not as confident. It's like, at least with the, you know, like you said, that, how do you pronounce your name, man? It's spelled Dawid.
Just do it like Dave or something like that. David. Carlos said it best.
David. Okay. And I completely forgot what question I was going to ask you because I was going to say your name then, but I wasn't confident. But
no, guys, I have actually a good question to guys overseas because more and more Europeans like Wolski, Tim Budesheim, Amir are competing in the States and so on. Why are you not guys going to the Europe?
Why are we not going, or why are they not going?
Yeah, why are you not going to Europe, for example?
It's expensive, man.
They're all there. Like that's the thing. It's like it's going to be comfortable there.
Yeah.
No, actually, you know, food is cheap here. Cheap as hell.
I will say as well, if Australians all got relocated to America, then we would have no problem going to Europe because for us to go to either America or Europe, it is a huge flight either way. You know, they're all like 16 hours of traveling, no more, I think. So, but yeah, you guys are like the furthest away possible. So when like Aaron Pilates, who possibly could jump on this podcast, he's over there now, like he has to go over there and sort of live there, you know, and living there and staying in a place or whatever, it's not like a cheap thing to do. So if you're an Australian pro and you want to go compete around the world, or if you want to compete full stop, you've got to have money. Like you've got to, or a good sponsor.
Yeah. I don't know why guys don't go over there. I mean, I don't know. I think for me personally, like you know, I don't know. There's some shows here that I wanted to do, like when I did I wanted to do New York, and I did Texas, and then you know Brazil. I wanted to do Brazil, but you know I had like the relationship with my sponsors being there. So I don't know. For me personally, I think like it was something that I definitely would like to do, but there's some shows here that I would kind of want to do first. You know, maybe like New York Pro for me is one I definitely want to get in the bag. But other than that, like. I mean, there's some hella good shows over there. You know, there's tons of great shows that are happening, you know, like in Spain and Italy. And then like, I don't know, you can always make a trip out of it. Like the European competitors come here, they do the New York Pro, they hang around New York, they have a great time. And then, you know, they can go back home and, you know, do a show, also make a good time out of it. I think, I don't know, I think that's a good mindset to have because then like you compete, but then you also get a chance to have some fun.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I want to do. Some of those shows. I talk to my girl about it all the time. Like, I want to take you to Spain. I want to take you to Italy. But the thing is, you know, my business is here, and I do online coaching, so I could bring my business there too. But I also have clients here, and like my family's here, like my dog is here. So there's just a lot of things that I have to arrange. Plus, I have to bring my girl with me. I'm not just going to leave her behind. You know, while I go to Italy to compete for a week, I'm going to make sure to bring her. So it's
the good thing is, man. The good thing is you can tax write off that. You know.
Yeah, for sure. So basically the plan is, you know, win some prize money and then just reinvest the prize money to keep competing. That's basically my plan. So starting off in Toronto, take home some prize money, Vancouver, take home some prize money. Then using that prize money, I can go and do some of those abroad shows because it's been on my radar for years. It's just, yeah, I mean, there's all the logistics about it too, is you have to fly out there. You have to stay there for probably about 5 days because you're not just going to fly there a day before. That's just ridiculous. You got to make sure you find gyms. You got to make sure you have like a good place to stay where you can cook your food and stuff. It's just different. And then there's the added stress of just maybe not having like the language locked down. So you're gonna have to maybe figure some shit out. But at the end of the day, it's totally realistic, totally possible. And it's like Carlos said, it's an awesome thing to be able to do that. Like once I get the chance, the opportunity, I mean, that's on my bucket list, man. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to be a pro bodybuilder, is to travel the world and compete, and bring my girl along with me, so we can enjoy those places, right? We've never been to Italy, but her family's in Italy. It's just the fact that like her family, it's going to be like where they live is going to be like nowhere close to where the competition is. I was even like, yeah, we could go out there. And she's like, oh yeah, like it's in like the smallest town ever. You got to drive 3 hours, from the airport to get there or whatever, like down like all these dirt roads, and there's no gym for like hours, and like it's like, okay, well, we'll figure this out.
Yeah,
So
but
this
your
is-
girl is actually a competitor, so you might arrange it like 1 year, like you're going to compete together if she doesn't get a pro because there are actually amateur shows before the pro show always. Like for example, there is an Olympia amateur and then there is a pro show in Italy.
Yeah, we talked about that. She's gonna win her pro card here in Toronto, though.
Yeah, I think so too.
yeah.
In wellness or bikini? Is she
Wellness.
going wellness? Yeah.
She's wellness now. Yeah.
Awesome. That'll be exciting, man. It'd be pretty cool. Like, obviously both of you being pros, like both turning pro. And it's funny, I think when someone is like sort of close to that pro level, whether it doesn't matter what division it is, if they're in a relationship, it typically drives the other person to like up their game. I don't know if it's just like they just see it or if they get motivated by it or what it is, but I've seen that a lot of times, man, like where the partner of someone who's doing really well, they just like follow,
100%. Well, I know for a fact, like even though she's not a pro, she's elevated me with her mindset, and she's just such an amazing girl in general, but like also like a fierce competitor. She's been second at the nationals here, and I know her time is coming, but it's just like you said, like it's having that partnership with someone who shares the same passion as you, and you feed off each other's strengths, and then you can kind of mitigate each other's weaknesses. You really become like a true strong team in that regard, as opposed to having maybe a relationship with someone else who's not as involved with bodybuilding. It's like we basically live and eat and breathe and sleep it all together all the time. So it's really cool.
Yeah, for sure. It would be hard to be with someone who
Yeah.
completely doesn't like. Well, I don't think I need to date someone who like they have to go to the gym, but if they just had no interest in it whatsoever, like if they were totally out of it, but they had a real interest in it and they were like supportive and all that sort of stuff, I'm like, that's cool. But yeah, it's hard if someone's like, bringing home,
I'll tell you what too. It's also really hard being in a relationship with a competitor who doesn't have a good mindset, or a competitor who, for example, sees you elevating and then
Stressful.
doesn't want to continue to push you. It's almost like they want to hold you back until they get there, and it's so either way. We talked about this before, I think, with Nick Walker and some of those guys. I basically said like it just depends on the person. Like you just have to mesh with that person, the energies, and you just have to click.
yeah.
Like competitor or not, you know what I mean? Because I know there are a lot of pro bodybuilders who have non-competitor wives, and it works amazing for them. And then also like I was divorced from a competitor, and it was just a nightmare. So there's no like guarantee. It really just has to be like that's your girl, and then that's basically it.
For sure, man. Yeah. Yeah, relationships and bodybuilding, obviously, like many of us would have heard many behind the scenes stories of
stressful.
crazy shit in this industry. And yeah, and it's
This is a scary place sometimes.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a scary place for bodybuilding relationships.
So if you're dating
Look what
competitors,
happened
be careful.
look to what happened to this guy, one of the biggest guys in bodybuilding. Who was he that he went to the jail?
Went to the jail.
Craig Titus.
Oh yeah,
Titus, yeah, with his girl.
Yeah.
That
I was nervous then who you were going to bring up. Then I was like, please don't make me do editing.
I'm trying to be careful, like Stu. Be careful, like Stu.
Yeah, we can go on Titus. That's fine. He's a murderer, so no holds barred there. But yeah, that's a crazy story. Like I was on YouTube and I just saw one of the documentary type things on that, and I ended up watching it. I was like, yeah, that was pretty crazy. If that happened today with today's social media, that would live on for even longer. That story. And the same thing with like Bertil Fox. He's out of jail now, and he's
Yes, would it though? Because nowadays you see so much of weird, wicked things, and they just pass by. Like 2 weeks later, they're gone.
Yeah,
Because other, even more fucked up thing happens.
we've had a few things in Australia. I don't know
Yeah.
if you guys saw that thing where, I'm not sure what religion. I think Muslim, and he was I don't know the correct terminology, but in Christianity it's a priest, whatever. I don't know if he's what the actual terminology is, but he was doing a live thing. He was actually on Patrick Bet David's show, I think a few months prior, and like a really well-known guy, quite famous, and he was doing a live broadcast of one of his things at the church, and a guy just came in and just stabbed him, like, and it was on live, like broadcast on the internet. So this was in Sydney, and this happened like a day after there was like a stabbing of a guy went into a shopping center and just started stabbing people in Sydney as well. So this was like, it shifted really quick off from one to the other, where it was almost like, yeah, like you said, one's just forgotten. I'm like, well, that's a pretty crazy thing. That would be talked about for ages, in the past. But with social media, it's like we have so many little stories coming out of like every little thing that happens, because everything's videoed now, that yeah, stories just, I mean, for you guys, at least as pros, like Carlos and Robin and all you guys, like, it's probably a bit better, because when some shit happens or someone's talking crap about you, or you missed your peak or something, at least you know it's going to be gone pretty quick. We have new bodybuilding news stories every day. So at least, but you can't, you don't get too much credit if you're doing well for too long either. You're forgotten if you haven't competed in 6 months. So, but anyway, I want to get on to the Cali Pro. I keep going to call it the New York Pro, which was on over the weekend, which was won by Tonio Burton. It was a really damn good show, and we had a few things like with the judging. Obviously, like Stu worked his way up. He was out of that top 4 in pre-judging, worked his way up to place inside the top 4. We had obviously Emir Omeragic, who was, well, I'll bring up all the photos and videos in a second, that we had, which we didn't have a ton of because there wasn't a live stream, unfortunately. Which we can talk about a little bit as well. And then we had Krystian Wolski, who I actually had on the channel recently, the last video I put up. Legend of a dude. Obviously, you're Polish, aren't you, David?
Yeah, I am.
David, yeah. So obviously a fellow countryman of yours, and yeah, he's cool, man. Walski jumped on my live. It's my live pre-judging review of New York, which is a show he competed in and got 5th place. And he was trolling me in the chat because everyone's going, Xavier, you're an idiot. And me and Beatty were just talking, and yeah, they're just basically trolling me in the chat. And then Walski trolled me as well. And then I was like, I got to get this dude on. I like him. So yeah, real funny guy and real chill. And we'll definitely get him on the podcast at some point. I actually asked him to come on this one, but I think he's getting.
He's on iPod.
Yeah.
He's at the airport actually, because he's now traveling to Poland. And then up to the next competition in Europe. It's either, he said, it's either Spain or Italy, but it depends what the plan is with Mauro Sassi, his coach, the Mauro Sassi.
Yeah, he's putting in some work this year.
Yeah, he's getting some guys looking real good. But yeah, it was a really good contest. When you look at the actual lineup and how deep it went, there was a lot of good guys. So I want to cover actually a fair few of these guys and sort of how it played out. And we've got some stacked shows coming up as well. So it's super, super exciting. So let's
when you
discuss...
go to AJ's YouTube channel, AJ Robbie Kelly, you got the better quality of stream and so on. I will send you the link.
Yeah, send me the link, man.
Yeah.
But I'll bring up because we don't have. Sorry, you go, Robin.
It's like kind of hard to review a show when there's no live stream because you can't actually watch it in real time, can you?
Yeah.
Sorry, AJ posted a really good one because he had some.
Well, that's not bad.
There's a few decent shots here. So, but this shouldn't be the shot that we're seeing and that is being shared by people to see what people look like in a show. Like, we're trying to decipher it from a million iPhone videos and stuff like that. And to me, for a pro contest, especially of this caliber, like Tonio's 8th place in the Olympia.
I've
It's
sent you on brief.
oh, legend. I'll stop sharing my screen just in case there's anything dodgy in messages. There's nothing dodgy. But oh, that's Krystian Wolski's message. I better like his message or something because we'll see I just opened it and he'll think I'm like, no, fuck you for not coming on the podcast. All right, I'll share my screen again.
Seems like that's Tonio's show though, eh?
Yeah, Cali.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In
Oh,
the
wait,
second
no.
year.
Did
No.
Tonio win it last year or was it Ross
Oh
Flanagan?
no,
Yeah.
wait.
was Ross.
Was it? It was Ross. Oh, you're
Oh,
right.
it was Ross,
Did
right?
Ross beat
Yeah.
Tonio? Did
Isn't that
Ross beat
funny?
Tonio last year?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow. I totally had a brain fart on that one. I totally thought Tonio won it last year, but he won New York. That's what it was.
I
Mhm.
actually agreed with you as well. I was
Trippy.
thinking, yeah, he did win Cali. I'm like, wait, no, he didn't. He was a favorite though, definitely going in.
Yeah, I totally thought that. That's trippy.
Shout out to Ross Flanagan because he'll be back next year as well. It's just another guy into like there's so many names now in the pro ranks
Yeah, I
where
really like Ross. He's really he's a cool guy.
super chilled out. So I want to pause this for
some health issues.
sorry.
Ross had some health issues.
Oh, did he? That's
Yeah, he
unfortunate.
did.
Oh, it did. Oh wow. Hope he feels. I hope he's doing better. I know he had
Yeah.
gotten like rhabdo at one point, like earlier in his career, but I hope it's
Yeah.
good.
He had
So-
something wrong with his butthole. I don't know what
Yeah,
exactly it was.
He said he had hemorrhoids.
Hey,
Hemorrhoids. Was that? Are you sure that's what it was? Oh, damn.
Yeah, he wrote it
Shit happens.
on his Instagram.
Ross is so open.
Yeah.
When shit
is,
happens,
that's what
when
I
you have
mean.
hemorrhoids, it hurts.
Shit.
Man. Ross is so open about that sort of stuff. I remember when I was younger,
Okay.
I thought because when I was younger, I used to lift heavier when I was probably like 17 years old or 18 years old when I ever did. And I remember just deadlifting every week, doing squats every week. And I remember just sitting down once and I was like, why does my butthole hurt so bad? And I don't know if I had hemorrhoids and I was looking up all this stuff. I'm like, I've either got hemorrhoids or an anal fissure, which is like a tear in there. But yeah, it just killed all of a sudden. I'm like, I'm not going to a doctor for this. I'm just putting hemorrhoid cream up there and just hoping for the best. And it felt better for it.
Or a bad spotter, perhaps.
there you go.
I stopped deadlifting for a while. It wasn't the spotter.
Yeah.
It wasn't the spotter.
Yeah. I know that feeling.
I don't know why I told that story, but
Oh, man.
Thanks
anyway,
for sharing.
yeah, no worries. Anyway,
On to the show.
back onto the Cali Pro. So here in this photo here, we've got I can't remember his name. It's Min Lee Yang, I think, possibly. And then we've got Lee Seung Chol. There second on the left. We've got Beef Stew there, and we've got Joseph Vetten. So this is the sort of second group sort of guys that they had. So this is at pre-judging though, I believe. So they were comparing this group. We had second on the left, Seung Chul. He placed sixth place. Stu ended up placing fourth, so he moved up. So when I was actually looking at this comparison, when I saw a straight on video, it was actually by Lee Seung Chol, what he put up, and that's when I could tell Stu's structure, like the way he feels like that front lat spread. That's where I could sort of tell that he's probably going to move up at finals. But yeah, I was sort of surprised he wasn't up there in pre-judging, but I think I don't know if it's for lighting or what it is, but he just tended to look better at New York. I think slightly better at New York both years. But talking to Beatty as well, who was actually there, which is obviously, you guys know, it's completely different when you're there. Beatty's like, no, he looked the same, like pre-judging finals, like he thought anyway. So, but by my videos I saw, I thought he looked a little bit better, but you probably can't judge it perfectly. But yeah, anyway, I suppose let's go through and discuss these guys. Actually, firstly, because we spoke about Stu, what did you guys think of Stu? Carlos, did you think, and what do you think about his tan as well? Because I heard Dave Palumbo talking about it a bit, and they were making some comments about, not liking it as much. And I don't know if it looked better to me in New York both years and looked worse in Cali. So I don't know what it is, but Carlos, what do you think?
Yeah, I think, there was like side by side. I think that someone put up, or maybe he put up, and I think his tan in New York looked great. You know, I was there live and I saw it. And I think, you know, I mean, I know they made comments about his tan not being as good in New York, but I thought it looked fine. And then looking at it here, I don't know, maybe it's just like the lighting because everyone kind of has like that little yellowish look to their not everyone, but some people do have that, but I don't think it was blotchy. I think it looked great, in my opinion. And as far as like his physique, I thought he brought maybe the same. It looks the same because again, I was looking at like the live video that you were putting up, like and you were, you know, finagling, trying to figure it out too. And it's very hard to see you get a good quality video and photos. But I looked at the NPC photos. I think we were from prejudging, and he looked really good. To be honest with you, like I saw, like, I don't think he slipped. I saw good conditioning. He looked like he was full. I don't know what everybody else thinks, but I thought he was on the money, to be honest with you. Like that side leg right there, looked great in the photos. Yeah, I thought he was on the money in this show. Maybe the other guys just like got so much better. I didn't really look at them too closely, except for like the prejudging pictures, but yeah, I thought he hit it pretty good this show.
Yeah, I thought at first that he missed it a little bit, but then looking back, like looking at more videos, I actually messaged you. I'm like, actually looking at the videos, dude, I would have definitely had you up in that top 4 group. You know, he definitely would have been added there for me. And I said, dude, just keep fighting. I said, you can work your way back up into the top 4 easily. And it was cool to see him actually do that as well after being outside, you know, that. So
I get tanned by the same person that Stu does, Liquid Sunrays, and Jenna from Liquid Sunrays or whoever is doing the tanning for Jenna at the shows. And I love that tan color. I think it always looks way better than the rest, personally, in my opinion. But, you know, the one thing about getting the tan is you have to make sure you do the skin prep properly. So one thing that can definitely influence how your tan looks is it's like the state of your body. Like if you're, for example, like inflamed on the inside at all for whatever reason, or like we're talking about like with the liver or anything like that, that can kind of change the way your skin tone looks. Because when he was at New York, I thought that he by far had the best tan for sure. And
it's so funny, man. It's so funny because Dave Palumbo said he didn't like it in person, Dave, and then you guys say you love it, and it's like Stu must be like, what the like? Because in these photos, can you guys see my screen?
I don't know why Dave Palumbo would say that. Maybe just that's his own opinion, but like even for New York and Toronto, that they did my tan, and Ian Valier got his tan done in Toronto from LSR and Jenna from Liquid Sunrays, and it's such a great tan. But obviously, like it's your responsibility to prep your skin, right? So what I'll do is I'll just order the skin prep kit from them, and then I'll exfoliate every day, and I'll use their skin stuff, and it makes a big difference in how it actually sits on. And the only thing, so maybe for Stu, is because he still had like some of the residual tan, or he still had some of that, like, because the tan gets into your skin and sometimes it clogs up your pores. So maybe because it was only a week apart, right? Was it 2 weeks?
A week.
Like, because I feel like one week apart, sometimes that tan might not get all out of your skin, and you might not have enough time to then redo the whole skin prep to get it going to like suck up that tan again. That's just my opinion, but I do know that skin prep is a huge deal when it comes to tan. But then again, like you said, Carlos, it could also be the light. Like the lighting is different at every show. And then maybe the other thing too is maybe he didn't get as dark because he did get criticized for his tan. So maybe because for me, like at New York, I was like, oh shit, I was too light. So then when I went to Toronto, I was like, do another coat, do another coat, do another coat. And then you can always rinse it off and then get another coat. So what I actually did for New York is I got my tan like the day before, and for Toronto, I started putting it on 2 days before. Then I showered it off. I ended up doing like 3 or 4 coats, like 2 days before, 1 day before, day of. So I think just, you know, having more time to give your skin that the skin prep to like actually suck it up makes a difference. But then also lighting and also the backdrop, everything makes a difference. So I don't know. But it does look more yellow than it did more bronze in New York. And I don't know if that's just because of the backdrop, the lighting, or if it was actually the skin prep and the actual number of coats itself, or even who's applying it. You know what I mean? There's always human error from actually who's putting on your tan, because they also use like a certain mixture. I know like Liquid Sunrays, they use like almost this like sparkly stuff that kind of gives your skin like a nice little sparkle at the end. So I don't know. just depends on, I guess, who's doing it too.
Yeah.
You know, you can actually look at Wolski, and he used the same color as Stu, and he looked really similar to him because, yeah, they were both kind of yellowish. You see?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did. Yeah.
So
It's funny.
I think it must have just been who was doing it that day. Maybe they didn't use the right mixture or something, because it looks completely different there.
Yeah, and it looks better on Krystian, actually. As you see, he looks more golden than. But the thing is that they both look. I mean, they both look like they don't have the oil on them. It's like the oil sucked in.
Krystian's waist looks like it's so tight and shrink wrapped and sunken in. And I think maybe Stu just ate something that day that could have maybe just set off the pH in his body too, because that's happened to me before. Like I did once, like before a national show, I went and ate like a bunch of pancakes and like breakfast, like bacon and just like breakfast meal, like a regular breakfast meal, and like to fill up for the show or whatever. And then when I got my stage photos, I'm like, whoa, why do I look like kind of greenish tinted? It's weird. So I definitely always avoid that, like new foods before a show.
Yeah, and there's different hues to the tans as well. I know some of them.
Yeah.
I know there used to be one in Australia. I don't know which company it was, and they would have this like anti-green stuff, because some competitors would randomly, like, I think Robin, you spoke about it on this podcast about the different pH in the foods and how that can actually make you go green and can actually change your tan. And yeah, some competitors would just go green and they'd have stuff you could put on, but I think you'd put that on the tan and then it would affect the tan a bit. So it still wouldn't be perfect. But yeah, I've seen the odd person just go full green. And maybe something like that's happening with Stu. Maybe he's having a little bit of eating a bit of something or whatever. But I think it's more probably, like you said, whoever's maybe done it, because it's just, or it's the lighting, because it's just weird that there's multiple guys that have this sort of greenish, yellowish look a little bit. So and it stands out more because Protan's super brown. So it's like it's a different color.
Yeah, because it could be like even just like the difference in like the color of the lights that they're using on from the stage lighting.
Yeah.
If it's like more of a yellowish light, then it reflects down on these guys and they all look more yellow versus like, I don't know, like a whiter light or something. I have no idea about lighting, but I should ask my brother. My older brother is actually a lighting expert, so I should ask him.
It's so hard to tell because you see here as well, like they don't look as yellow here.
Not too bad in comparison,
Yeah.
Yeah,
so.
but
it looks like it just looks like they're not as dark.
Yeah, but
like it really just looks like they don't have, like, look at the other couple of guys there on the left. It looks like they're a little darker, like Amir and Sung Chul Mi or whatever. But I don't know, maybe they just needed a couple more coats. I'm sorry, that was so bad.
No, I love it. You went over it real quick just so no one noticed.
I thought if I pronounce it quicker, it would sound proper.
Just cover your mouth and just go, Le Chion.
Yeah.
Korean guy.
Well, his name's always spelled in a different order, so I just guess the order. I say Xiang Chu Li or Li Chiu Sung. So you just say it in whatever order, because they can't expect us to get the right order when it's always they list their own name in a different order every time. Like I don't get it.
I'm even blown away sometimes when people can't say my name. They're like, "What's your name?" Robin. They're like, "Robert." I'm like, "Robin." Like, okay, Robert. I'm like, oh, dude, what?
Let's call you Robbie.
Tell me about it. Yeah, tell me about it.
Oh yes. Sorry.
Yeah, right.
Good luck.
I can't.
It's even worse that this.
It's only Xavier that gets tripped up over Dawid though.
Dawid.
I'm staying with David, and that's all.
David. Yeah. Okay.
But actually, when you look for like on the Fabio in the middle next to Tonio, he has the perfect tan. Like not too dark, not too light, not too yellow, not too green. He's just perfect there.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Amir's is good too.
Yeah,
Tonio nailed it.
I don't know. Yeah,
anyways,
but
so Tonio literally though he has the perfect same as you, Carlos. Like with your being darker, that with that tan on the top with the shine, it just makes with the roundness, it just makes this sort of lighting. Maybe that's why Tonio looks comparatively. I think I had Stu beating Tonio probably in the finals at the New York, like just from what I saw.
Same.
But here with the different lighting, like I have Tonio beating Stu. So it's like, is it the different lighting? Is it just that Tonio came in better, or is it that, like, I don't know. What do you think, Carlos?
I don't know, man. Like I think I think the lighting does play a factor. I was looking at the photos like on like when we're looking at prejudging here, and Tonio looked great. Like he was, super round, super full. And it's like you said, like the tan like worked well for him, and the lighting worked well for him. He looked really good. Yeah, I mean, like, dude, I didn't have any problems like with like his tan or anything. I just thought he looked good. I don't know if he looked better. I because his pictures, I'm hesitant to say he looked better in New York, to me personally, just because I was there. But
it's so hard to tell.
Like, yeah, it's hard to tell. But
yeah,
I would say
feel like
for me personally, I thought he looked great in New York, but he definitely had like maybe a little bit more pop and roundness to him here.
Can you see this
I was
pop
gonna
up
say,
when I click it? Like, can you see the pop up I just clicked on, or no?
Oh no.
Yeah, I don't think you can on Zoom.
The one thing that I think I noticed with Tonio is that I think his waist was a little tighter here, which I think
Yes.
maybe created that illusion. I think he might have just overdone the carb up for New York, which I mean last year he ate like five guys burgers before the stage and he was tight. So maybe they repeated that and maybe he just had a little bit of distension. Whereas here, like compared to these guys, his waist is non-existent. And it stands out so much because even the gentleman to his right on Antonio's right with the purple trunks, I forget his name, but
Pablo, I think it is.
Pablo.
his waist is super impressive. Yeah. And
Yeah.
even like with Amir and with Stu, kind of like myself, like we have like a wider hip, wider waist structure. So Tonio comes in here and his waist just looks ridiculous there. So it makes sense, even though I noticed he did look maybe a little bit not as big, but it also could have been because he's against some really big guys here. So I don't know, maybe it was just that small difference in the waist, and his ability to kind of like control that. Because like look like damn, like that is such a crazy pose just because it looks like he's got no waist at all.
He hit this pose a lot better this week, I think, than New York. I think New York he was sort of pulling his shoulders up a little bit. I saw that one time where he pulled his shoulders up and he cut his lats off a bit. I can tell now he's pushing his shoulders down, the elbows out, and he's getting a bit more of those lats pop. And like I saw Carlos, you like nodded. You can see that.
Yeah. He's definitely hitting the pose like better. And like you said, it could have just came down to like the what he ate that day, and having a little bit more abdominal control for yesterday. Well, for Cali on Saturday. But yeah, I thought he looked great here. But man, for me, I really thought that it was going to be a battle between him and Stu. But the other guys, like Amir, was fucking ridiculously peeled, of course.
Yeah.
And I think Walski got even better from New York from the pictures I was looking at.
Yeah, I think so
I agree
too.
with that, man, for sure.
I've got a question for you guys. If Cindy would have judged New York Pro, do you think that the criteria that she's been through, that the waist and the conditioning, Martin would have beat Nick?
Oh,
Because
I mean,
it was a point difference, and Steve was judging, and Cindy actually likes the smaller waist and the conditioning, and we know that that's the Martin's attributes.
well, I guess traditionally we've gone. I mean, Nathan even changed the way he looked. Nathan Diasha, he's even said this because he wanted to come in bigger at New York, which he won in New York Pro, and then he wanted to bring it in much tighter for Cali, and he had such control over his physique when he did that. And he's like, "Yeah, I want to bring the tighter look for that. That's what I like more there." So obviously, competitors, at least some competitors, and many fans think that they like a tighter, more aesthetic look in Cali.
Yeah, that's a good example because I was at that New York Pro and he was fucking big, dude. Like Nathan was huge, and I was surprised at how fast he ripped it down in Cali, and he looked like way more streamlined within a week. It was ridiculous. Yeah,
that's a fast metabolism.
I can see why.
I don't know if you guys as well noticed, but Nick has done something to, I mean, he's wearing those compression socks. So perhaps he's taking care of those veins.
I saw him wearing those socks. Yeah, yeah. Well, it's
So
funny. He said he knocked one of those veins in one of his prep, and he hit it and it bruised, and then it went away.
yeah, so I heard Adam, one of our guys, said that there is a therapy that you actually can like inject some of the veins, and they will just go down. But of course, there are just some veins, some of them. But still, if we are looking at the improvements that Nick can make, can he grow more? Not really. He can take care of his waist, and he can take care of this as aesthetic parts. So if he's doing that, that's great.
Yeah, for sure. Man, my dad actually, he was in hospital. He had on his leg, this is like years ago, he had some sort of it sort of came up like a golf ball and it was an infection. And so he went to hospital and he sort of like left it pretty late and they started giving him antibiotics and he had to sort of like go and be in hospital for a few days and I was putting antibiotics and stuff through a drip. And he had one that was meant to be on a drip over however many hours, I think 24 hours. The woman came, grabbed it, and then just chucked it straight in his arm, like all of it at one go. And then his arm just started to get hot, started to like swell up. And then he said it started to go like his whole arm started to go as hard as a rock, like all the veins just were like rocks. And my dad used to compete in bodybuilding, so he's very vascular. So he was like, this isn't right. So he's clicking the bell when no one's getting up. And from all that, because it's meant to be over 24 hours, it actually killed all the veins in his arms. They completely disappeared pretty much in one arm. Like he's got a few small little ones, but
some guys just don't have veins post antibiotics or something. Their veins just disappear.
Yeah. Yeah. And my dad honestly should have sued them because it affected his arm for a little bit. Plus, also on that arm, he definitely has less development now. 100%. Because he goes to the gym and there's less development of that arm.
You guys, when you have the colitis, you have probably tried the glutathione and so on.
Tried what?
The glutathione, the TAD.
Glutathione injection? Yeah.
Exactly. You have tried it.
Yeah, IV. Yeah,
Inject it into your vein. And for some time, you don't have veins on your arms. They're like smooth.
That didn't happen to me.
No, not me.
I did a couple IVs like with Marie Gold here at Pure Muscle and Fitness. I just did like I think I did a glutathione, I think I did an NAD, and I did like a multivitamin type thing just to get some nutrition in. And I didn't have that issue at all. No.
Yeah, but
the NAD drip was kind of trippy though, because like there was like a toggle on the drip, and I remember Quentin was there, and there was a couple other people doing it too. And if it was going too fast, you could kind of feel yourself getting like buzzed out, like almost like high a little bit off of it. So it was like, it depends on the person. It was just like a weird kind of feeling, like almost like a stimulant.
So Robin, tell me how to do this. No,
I don't know. It's an NAD drip, but like you're supposed to kind of do it at like a slower pace.
Yeah. But if you want to have fun,
I don't even think like I wouldn't even compare it to like a having fun feeling. It's kind of just like your body. It's almost like if you've taken like too much GABA and your body like starts to hyperventilate a little bit. You're like,
oh, that's not fun.
That's not nice.
It's not fun. No.
Dude, I don't know if I've said this on the podcast before, but I took GABA before and I had no idea that, because I don't know if everyone gets it, but I would take it and about 10 to 15 minutes later, I'd be like, and I'd like be really short of breath for a good, I don't know if it was like 30 seconds to a minute, but I'm going like, and I thought I was having an anxiety attack every night before going to bed. And I'm like, I've got to go to a doctor about this. And then I was actually working for a supplement company. So I was doing a bit of extra research on a few different ingredients. And I was looking up GABA just coincidentally. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, cool. I'm taking this right now. And then I looked up that potential side effect. And I was like, I'm so glad I didn't spend money going to a doctor and trying to figure out what was wrong with me and getting on anti-anxiety medication. No, not that I would have.
Yeah, I don't know exactly why it causes that, but it's a strange kind of sensation. You feel like you just have to take some really deep breaths. And I think that's part of why it calms you down. Because usually if you have like anxiety or you're not calm, you're not breathing properly. So then the GABA really forces you to take like a big inhale and the big, like really get more oxygen into your body, and then your body starts to relax. But some
I
people
wasn't
really don't like that feeling.
I wasn't relaxed though because I thought I was having some sort of heart condition or else. So it would
Yeah.
stress me out. And I'm going to bed and I'm thinking about like, am I going to wake up? Because it was just, I didn't even feel stressed. And when you like, all of a sudden you like, don't feel like I can breathe properly, you start to like panic. But if I knew it was that, I'd just be like, I'm good, you know? So
Yeah.
it's good to
Now
know
you
what's
know.
wrong with you. But anyway, back to the Cali Pro. I don't know how we got so off
Yeah,
target.
I don't know.
But
But guys, I got a question. Like, where does so like Amir made the jump, obviously from like where was he, like eighth around or seventh
Somewhere like
in
9 or
so yeah,
ninth, I think, yeah.
and was he, yeah, and then he jumped up. You know what I mean? Like, is it because like you guys like he has like the crazy conditioning? Because a lot of people are saying obviously he doesn't have the most streamlined shape, and obviously we were talking about shape as winning the Cali Pro. Um,
True.
you know what I mean? Is it the conditioning? You know what I mean? Obviously, like he has that, but his shape isn't the most aesthetic. It's not bad, but comparative to some of the guys who placed ahead of, who also had pretty good condition like Walski, but also a good shape. Um, yeah, I mean, like, where does he go from here? Does he go to Europe now? Because he looked great and he looked
he's
amazing.
not
Like,
going
I'm
to
looking at,
Europe. I heard Asito
no,
saying that he's going to come back to Chicago, for example, because Asito doesn't
Chicago.
really want to do the European shows, but knowing the Emir, he probably will.
Mhm.
He does like to compete, doesn't he?
He's from Germany, by the way. He's 25.
Yeah, he's a young guy.
Wild.
He's crazy. And actually,
25.
his shape looked way better here now that you pull this up versus New York. This is like the
Yeah,
way he's pulling that front double looks great. Hold on. I was like, yeah, like he brought it in
Aceto
tighter for this one.
Aceto
I
said he
was
had
pretty
a
impressed.
tanning disaster at New York. So he said this was a lot better, the tan. So it was actually funny because his tan apparently is bad in New York, and here it's one of the better ones, I guess, compared to some of them.
I was pretty impressed with this guy, man, because in New York, I thought he looked pretty good. But in California, I was like, wow, he looks really good.
Mm.
Maybe his conditioning, or maybe they just peaked him a little bit different, where it just gave him that extra peak. I don't know, man, because yeah, his conditioning really came through. Like every fiber kind of came to life. So I don't know, maybe he was a little bit fuller. Maybe he was a little bit fuller here, and that's kind of what pushed against the skin to make it look like that. Because he was obviously
Yeah.
peeled to the bone like weeks in advance. Like there's no doubt about that. But you know how it is, right, guys? Like if you're a little bit flat, it's like you don't even look as peeled as you actually are. So maybe
Yeah.
he was a little flat
I'll
in New
agree.
York. Yeah.
I'll agree because like from the back, obviously, like he has those crazy like extreme glutes and stuff, but and from the front in New York, like he didn't really have that. Like he didn't have this. You look at this, and I was like, wow, okay, like everything's popping, everything's pushing. But in New York, he didn't really have that too much. So this looks, yeah, I think he definitely elevated and came in a lot better for
Yeah.
this show. Yeah, he's a young dude, man. He's crazy.
I'm going to
Yeah.
bring up the back shots.
Dangerous.
It's just that there's 50 million photos, and the way I share the screen, you have to bring up every single photo. So I've exited out of it, but I've got to bring up the back double because I think we did like bodybuilding awards last year, and I said I'd have this guy most shredded, even though you got Roman Fritz, but he competed in a show with Roman Fritz, and I was like, I think that he's just like Roman's consistency was crazy, and he's one of the most shredded guys of the year. But I was like, I think he was slightly more shredded, but he did that version of Amir last year was much. I suppose it was maybe slightly over dieted. I think this is a good balance.
Yeah, I think that's a good example with Roman Fritz, is because he's so peeled, but he comes in pretty much like too flat to show off how like actually muscular and conditioned he is. And I don't know if that's because he just does carbs and no fats, or like what it is, or maybe he's just over dieted by the time he gets to the stage. But it's a good example of someone who's like peeled to the bone, but then they just don't look quite as impressive when they meet the stage. Because I think that's honestly sometimes that's what it comes down to. Like that looks crazy, man.
that's insane.
It's nutty.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like
Yeah.
Dennis Wolf almost.
yeah,
Even the structure is similar. Look, the high lats and those really, really sticking out erectors.
Shoulder.
Mm,
Yeah.
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 yeah. 'Cause
And
Dennis had those
horizontal-
crazy traps and everything. Like, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I look at the pictures like this, and for example, Compton. Compton had such a developed shoulders that they looked like a part of his back actually. Like his back was even better, looking even better because his shoulders were so dominant.
It's crazy. Like you said with the erectors, something like that you don't get to appreciate unless you see it in person, like the thickness of someone's erectors. Because I've seen some guys, and I've even tanned some guys, and you've tanned like around their erectors, and it's like, what? Oh, that's impressive because you're like you can almost like grab onto it with your hand. It's like, and especially because when you don't have that on your own physique whatsoever, you see this thickness. I'm like, there's a lot of like deadlifts or some sort of heavy movement in there to build that with that sort of thickness. So very impressive for 25 too. You know, that's.
Have you guys seen how Amir trains?
No.
I haven't seen how he trains.
He's really going beyond the limits of, let's say, if bench form was considered bad, Amir is crossing the line.
I want to see this.
Wonder what that means. I want to go watch now.
I can't really be like, blame him or something because it works for him.
Yeah, I need to see this. Does he have a YouTube channel? I'm looking it up.
Yeah, Emir Omeragic.
I'll subscribe to him.
See how easy it is to spell it? Emir Omeragic.
Yeah, I got him.
I mean, that's the interesting thing with bodybuilding training. There's so many different styles of training, but the one thing that really matters is that it's intensity, right? So whatever that means, intensity, but everybody kind of has their own style of expressing that in the gym.
Yeah.
I'm really excited. Oh, wait, gotta find one. Can you guys hear that?
There's some called go to his channel like Emir Omeragic and press the most viewed ones or something like this.
Most viewed?
Yes, and most viewed, something like this. And
this one? This one looks good.
Check this one, for example.
Oh yeah.
Is this that guy? This is your same sponsor, hey, Carlos? Is it? No.
No, oh no, I think it was that's a trainer out of Brazil.
Yeah, but Amir, I think he's with some German company.
Yeah, but no, Johan is he's Austrian, but he lives in Brazil.
Oh, okay.
But he's a good trainer.
So he is not going to train bad because he's under someone's eye.
Yeah, okay. We need the raw stuff.
He's like his own videos.
Let's get him a few weeks out when he's still lifting heavy.
Yeah, I think the leg day, perhaps the one next to the 6,000. Oh, like this one.
This one.
Be a good one.
Okay. I don't know what this says. Oh, this is an offseason.
We're red and niched. We're Ballern. Oh, my dog's gonna bark slowly.
Actually, it's niched.
We need something where it can be reckless. We need some cheat curls or something. It looks like he just does Smith machine squats this whole video.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I'll look this up for another pod.
Yeah, we'll put it like that, man. He looks good.
Yeah, he looks amazing. He looks amazing.
Yeah.
I just when you say it was Branch Warren crossing the line,
brother, Branch Warren plus crossing the line is like my man is next level. I've watched those videos with Johnny and Branch, and they're just cranking down on the lat pull downs, man. It's crazy.
That wasn't even close.
It's funny when I was how old was I? I'm trying to think of how old I was when I was watching that, like Johnny Branch on the Battlefield Olympia DVD and stuff, and going to the gym.
Yeah, black and whites.
Yeah, you would just not really get injured. You'd think you'd have a little injury, but it'd be like so minor, and you'd just be ripping weight, and it'd be so fun. And now I see like Branch and Johnny training together, and I just get anxiety because I've got two bulging discs in my back, and I just can't imagine it. I see people using bad form, and it like makes me go like, can't deal with it. But anyway, let's discuss a little bit more about Cali Pro.
I don't think anybody can replicate what Branch and Johnny did, man. That was just something else.
I think Emir's doing it quite well. Trust me. I will find some videos and send you later.
Okay, good. All right. So who were we discussing last when we went through this? Oh, I was talking about Emir Omeragic, obviously. Yeah, he was phenomenal. Like, blown away.
Yeah.
25 years old. What was that?
The third one was Krystian.
Yes, Krystian Wolski, who we sort of discussed Krystian a little bit, but for this guy coming out of not nowhere, because he was in shows last year, but the fact that he's made such big improvements to just jump up there and straight away in the top 5 of that New York Pro, very impressive. What did you think in person, Carlos?
Man, he definitely shocked me because I've seen him and I've followed him on Instagram for a bit now, and I thought he had a great physique, but what he brought to New York was awesome. Like I loved the shape, I loved the condition. I mean, he had some things to work on a little bit. Like I think bringing up his arms a little bit more, it would be good for him, and but like even in like the shots, like the front double, he has a good taper. I mean, the condition is good too. The legs are like, I don't know, he has a good, how do you want to say, like shape to his quads, you know what I mean? Like everything's proportionate from the sweep to the teardrop. I mean, he's I want to say a very pretty physique to me. It's very aesthetic. I just like it's pleasing to the eye. And if I would say, like, coming up, if I was a young guy and I saw his physique, I'd be like, okay, that's a guy like I would definitely want to, aspire to kind of like look like, because like his physique is just like, it's not overly, how I want to say, it's not like it's balanced. Yeah, it's balanced to me. Like I think he has a pretty balanced physique.
For sure. Yeah,
How
no,
old are you,
very
Carlos?
impressed.
Hmm? Carlos, how old are you?
Oh, me? I'm 31.
And you, Robin?
I'm 31 as well.
So you three of you are the same age, basically. Krystian is 30.
He's 30. Yeah. Well, he's got a big future,
man. He
man.
looks good. Yeah,
Yep.
man. I'm definitely a big fan of his. And I'm excited to see what he does next.
It's interesting that
He's
there's so many.
got a really great physique.
Sorry,
He's got a great physique, and I also really enjoyed the interview you did with him, Xavier. It was just it was funny, like he's got a good sense of humor.
He's got a good personality.
Yeah, good personality, great physique to go with it. So yeah, very, very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. No, very much enjoy Krystian. He'll definitely be coming on the podcast at some point, for sure. As well, I want to just get through a few other guys as well. We discussed Pablo briefly. What does he need to do to sort of move up?
Bring up his back.
Yeah,
it's the only thing. From the front, from the side, really good. From the back, not as good. If he has the flaring lats, then he's basically going to like take out almost everybody.
Yeah, he's really good, isn't he?
Yeah.
I'll just bring up a photo.
It's wide enough as the width.
You say he's not
Because
wide enough?
Isn't wide enough. Like his width isn't. His clavicles aren't that wide.
I think it's just the flare in his lats that he needs more of, because his delts are good.
Yeah, he has no he can't change his clavicles. So
no,
he's got huge medialis. Like I suppose the only things he can really need he doesn't even need to add it, because his quads really do, the way he poses this, when you actually look at the shape, he does have that sort of X frame, and it's pleasing to look at as well. And if he had a tiny bit more sweep, he's sort of got the shape of Alfred Chiriac's legs, but maybe a little bit more sweepy. But yeah, if he had a tiny bit more sweep, and it's hard to say that about a guy who's so impressive, but he would just jump up to that level where he's, jumping so many guys, just that bit more back, a little bit more of that, this and that. And he's made huge improvements from was it last year? I think I saw him compete. Crazy improvement since then. So yeah, I think he's going to be jumping up. And, this was a tough show. Like, you look at all those top guys are all really close. He beat Stu at prejudging and then lost to Stuart finals. That's how close these guys are. So yeah.
What do you guys think about the Team Budesheim? Because he looks really good on the Instagram. And then in the New York Pro, I think he was overlooked. Here he came a little bit flat.
I thought he was overall pretty good. he was eighth, right? Yeah, eighth. I'll bring up some photos. What did you think, Robin?
Honestly, I didn't see him at all. I want to see some pictures.
Okay, I'm bringing him up. I
Yeah.
thought he was the least talked about for how good he actually looked, and I've got to also take credit for that as well, all the bad credit for it, because I just didn't see many photos and videos and stuff of him, and we didn't have the best coverage until these photos. But to me, I thought he looked pretty damn good, and he looked pretty huge and shredded, and I didn't see any particular regression from his physique, but obviously based off this photo initially, what do you think from that, Robin?
I mean, he looks pretty crazy there, hard, grainy. You can see there's good definition, separation, vascularity. He's even got some feathering in his quad. So I don't know. Maybe the only thing that I could guess from like the rest of his poses, not seeing them, is just kind of the way everything flows. Maybe he just didn't flow the same way as some of these guys in the top 5.
You know, the thing is that he looks really, really like Ivan Santopani in that pose, the first one that you that you showed us. And from the back, he has some like things to work on, and his posing as well was always kind of off. But overall, his physique looked really, really good. So I'm surprised that he got 8th, for example.
Yeah, likewise. I mean,
Yeah.
this shot here, to me, actually, I don't know if he was flat or if he was maybe a little bit like really pushing the fullness, because I'm just wondering if, sometimes you just see that look where it's just really full looking and the sort of the muscles pushing right out, but there's just maybe just a slight, I don't know if it's the muscle just being over full and just the cuts don't quite push out as much, but it looks like bursting branch warren sort of hard full, so that's what I see like through his chest and side legs. So I mean, I was impressed, to be honest, and if I was him, I would feel pretty dejected looking like this and getting 8th.
Have you got any back photos?
I'll bring some up. Yeah, I'll just there's 50 million photos of each competitor, but it's got all the between poses. Like I went through a page just a second ago, and every single shot pretty much was a transition.
When it was with Walski, like he was putting his hands like here, then here, then here.
Yeah, that's why I thought it's better to bring it up one by one. I've got a relapse spread I'll bring up here in just one moment, but it's hard from the back. It's sometimes it's a bit easier to tell on a back double bicep, but I mean, he looked, I don't know, what do you guys think?
Looks pretty good, man.
Yeah. No, he looks great. I thought, I don't really see much, like you said, regression from New York. And I just think New York, he was just peaked so, like to like the point he was like peaked so well. And I thought that was like his best that he's brought. But I mean, it doesn't look like he regressed too much here from these photos. He looks great, man. Like, I'm a big fan of Tim. I like him. You know what I mean? I like his physique. I know he doesn't have like the greatest shape and structure. But yeah, man, he brought some condition in, and he looks good.
Yeah, and the thing is as well, when you compare him to obviously like, especially like you, Carlos, or like Quinton and all these other guys that are coming in with like the tiniest waist and super aesthetics, it's like, yeah, you can say next to them, he's going to look blocky, but it's still not like, if you see these guys in person, I'll say guys in person with this amount of muscle up close, you're way more impressed aesthetically because you sort of appreciate how big they are and how they're holding that on their physique.
Yeah,
because
he's dense, man.
Yeah. Because I remember seeing, I can't remember what, do you guys remember Gregory Atoyan?
No.
Okay, so he was a guy that competed in the US for years and was trying to get his pro card for years and years and years and struggled. And then he actually got to the Olympia. But he did place like the lower placings and stuff. But where was I going with this? I saw him in the gym. In Melbourne. So I saw him So I saw him in the gym in Melbourne and took some photos of him in person. And seeing him in contests, I'm like, he's not aesthetic. But then seeing him in gym, in the actual gym and posing and stuff, I'm like, that's actually crazy. He looks really good. And I think most fans and people talking online probably haven't been to pro shows as well, because I've even heard commentary and even people inside the industry about this show saying that, you know, some guys missed it, and you know, oh, Amir was really good, but I think Amir actually made people look softer as well, just because of that comparison. So that's one thing. But honestly, I've seen some iPhone video from a side where I'm like, these guys are all shredded, or at least very, very close to being shredded. And then talking to Beatty and other people at the contest, it sounds like these guys were actually really, really hard at this show, because when you think about it, Tonio, he looked harder. You got Amir, who was crazy and looked better. You've got Krystian, who was the same or better. You know, it's like you go down the list and it's a bunch of guys that are in, you know, really good condition. And when all of them turned around, Tonio's glutes are probably softer than most of them, but they were still there when you see the actual videos from the side. Like there's still lines, you know, not those like real small lines, but he still has conditioning in the glutes. So yeah, I was impressed by everyone at this show, really.
Robin, who are
It was
you
a good
competing
show.
against in the Toronto?
Sorry?
Robin, who are you competing against in the Toronto? I know that Quint is doing it. Who else?
All I know is Quentin Hassan, because I see them at the gym. I don't know anybody else really for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I also want to give a big shout out as well to Sam Pearce, who from Australia went over and competed over there. And he's a really tall guy. The only thing is that he is so tall that he's competing against guys that are absolutely enormous. But I thought he looked really good. He got 11th. I just want to share.
Oh yeah, I like Sam. I actually watch his YouTube videos, and I follow him as well, just because he's got Crohn's colitis too. So you know, it's another guy that kind of deals with the gut stuff, right? And he does a great job at getting himself ready for the stage.
I was speaking to him like a few days ago, and he said that he's all good now. And actually, you know, as you said, he's like 6.2, something like this. He was 280 almost on stage.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You don't appreciate it. And the thing was as well, I think he filled up perfectly. I can't remember if it's prejudging or finals where he seemed like he was even bigger. So during his prep, his pre-contest photos, they don't impress anyone by himself, because he is like, 6'2" or whatever he is, you know. And he's just a guy that when he fills out and gets on stage, he just looks so much better. So shout out to Sam. And I felt bad because I didn't get to see too much of him on stage through the videos and little photos and stuff. And for my prejudging wrap up, I didn't really get to, and when I spoke about it at finals, I didn't get to really see him too much. And as well, because he wasn't in that top 10. So he didn't get to do his posing routine, which sucks. So yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out to Sam. Yeah, and it goes to show the standard too, guys. Like that's the level.
I was gonna say, yeah, I mean he looks fantastic right there. Nice small waist. Yeah, nice X frame.
Like a statue.
That's a great physique right there. I mean, yeah, obviously you could find things to improve, but like all of us, right? I mean, if you're not winning the show, even the winner of the show, you can still improve. But that's definitely a stacked lineup for guys like that. Guy's not even getting top 10. Like, geez, stacked lineup.
Even the perfect physique like Derek got so much blame after the Olympia. Like he has to improve this, and that. So as you said, everyone is always gonna have something to improve.
I was actually thinking about it today. I got a comment from someone on YouTube, and it was I think it was a podcast we did, or maybe it was one of my lives over the weekend. And they made a point to say, they said to me, they said, "Oh, who are you to say, or you know, that someone could use a little bit more delts or a little bit more this?" I'm like, in reality, though, what do we? And he said we should just be saying they all look great and stuff. He actually literally said that we should be praising how they look, and I'm like, that'd be great. But at the same time, that's like watching commentary of a NBA game and not mentioning the missed shots. You know, you got to be able to mention, especially if someone comes in.
It's the name of the game too. It's bodybuilding. Like we're here to build our bodies and figure out what we need to work on. And otherwise, it'd just be like body maintaining, and nobody would watch that shit.
Yeah, exactly. And
have you guys watched the Phil Heath documentary?
Yeah.
Have I?
He was saying about he was speaking about the comparison of how do they criticize them in the basketball versus bodybuilding, and he said that bodybuilding doesn't even come close. That the hate they get on the basketball court is like nothing. Not even. I mean, bodybuilding is not even close to what they get on the court.
Oh, nowhere near. And I've actually made that point as well. And I haven't seen that from Phil either. Where he said that, but it's crazy when you really think about it. what probably even we feel comfortable about saying about, you know, LeBron shot or this or that or whatever. And when they're a certain level of fame, they're so dehumanized from where we are at, you know, even you guys as pros and Carlos, even if you're a Mr. Olympia, I think, or somewhere around that level. I think about Brandon Curry. If I'm talking to Brandon Curry about it, it's a very different level when you're at Brandon Curry's level compared to if you're at, you know, a professional basketballer's level. And especially if some sort of scandal comes out in bodybuilding, I mean, it blows over pretty damn quick. If you're a professional athlete, you know, there's just going to be quite a few articles written about that, but anyone can Google it any time, or, you know, there's just so much more pressure that is on these other athletes. But obviously bodybuilding is a different level as well, because we're talking about the way someone looks, you know, so it's more of a sensitive thing than saying like, yeah, his jump shot's off. You know, you're like, oh, well, watch me knock down this shot. It's fixed. You can't just be like, this person has no chest. Their chest sucks. Not that I say it like that, but if you say, oh, someone's chest sucks or their arms suck, it's like, well, that might take me 10 years or it will never happen. And if it's something that can never happen, it is like it's going to feel, I know Carlos and Robin, all you guys, does it feel more like a personal attack if I say like, oh, they'll like if I said something about one of your physiques, say, oh, he doesn't have a chest or something. It's like, well, I've been training for 25 years, so it's probably not going to happen. Fuck.
Yeah, I think for basketball and like the comparison to like competitive sports, it's just like the trash talk that goes between it, like competitors anyway. You know what I mean? Like man, growing up and you hear the people talking like on the basketball court, man, they're talking ridiculous smack talk to each other. So it kind of builds that thick skin, and then like versus like someone who you don't even see in person, like on a keyboard, like it's just like you just kind of shrug it off. You know what I mean? Like you have to have that thick skin. And it's like kind of like you said, like people like they take physique critiques as like character critiques. Like, yeah, like your chest sucks. Like you're a bad person. It's like no, it's like it has nothing to do. They're not synonymous. They're not one and the same at all. Like, I mean, we're meant to be judged and critiqued, and like I you get comments all the time. I'm pretty sure Robin and the vid, you get comments all the time, like people saying, man, you need to work on this, you need to work on that, or it's like I know it. So like, what else you gonna tell? What else can you say to me? There's nothing you can say that's gonna make me it's gonna hurt my feelings.
Yeah,
it's learn to just answer with thank you. I just always answer with thank you. I don't
right,
care.
exactly. You just gotta kill them with kindness. Just
yeah, I think for you guys, it's unsolicited opinions, because you could put up a photo of like a family photo and you're wearing a singlet and be like, oh, dude, like, you know, it's always every fan that follows you is first going to look at your physique, and they could just make a comment about that. It's like, dude, I'm just hanging with my family. So, yeah, but obviously as a professional
athlete, gut in check.
Yeah.
Keep your gut in check. What are you doing?
He's really letting it hang out in this photo. It's like, dude, it's Christmas. Chill.
Fuck, man.
I made a post like with my shirt off, like making a reel, whatever, and I had one guy comment, you know, and he was like, well, that's the worst looking midsection I've ever seen. Do you think you could get surgery to fix that? I'm like, dude, that's just what I was born with. Like, I'm not going to get surgery on my stomach just for cosmetic reasons. I'm just going to train my abs and do vacuums and do what I can. I mean, I can't change the fact that I have separated abdominals. Like Ronnie Coleman had that, Dallas McCarver had that. There's a lot of bodybuilders that have that. You know, it's just, but of course, there's going to be the trolls online. The internet's full of trolls, and they're going to try to take you down if they can, but it's up to you to decide whether that's actually something that's going to affect you in your personal life or not. You know, so it's like, for me, I just kind of say, hey, man, listen, like, we're all beautiful in different ways. You know, maybe this is something that you're not used to, but it's the way that I am.
David like that one.
I'm a fucking pro bodybuilder and you're not, so shut up, kind of a thing, right?
Yeah.
So
100%, man.
Everyone thinks that their opinion and they are like able to give their criticism. It's just the way you do it. If I say, for example, Xavier, your hat sucks, that's
man,
rude. If I say,
I wear this hat every video almost.
Yeah, if I say something like, hey, you could reconsider changing your hat, it sounds a little bit nicer.
Is this a real thing? I'm getting sensitive about it now. Should I say?
No, I was just. I know that you abuse DHT, so that's why.
but yeah, anyway, I completely forgot what we were talking about. But
Yeah.
boys, do we want to answer a couple of questions? Got a couple here, or do we need to wrap it up? So I know some of you guys got some things to do.
Let's do like
I could
3
do,
or 4.
I could do 10 minutes. Yeah.
10 minutes?
Mhm.
Cool. All right, let's do it. Let me open
Yes,
up these questions. Sorry, one
Just waiting
second.
for my rice to cook.
Good timing, man. Like it's got about 10 minutes to go.
Exactly. Oh, what about Joe Palcio? He didn't
Oh,
get
yes.
a top.
I just
Oh,
saw his
Joe.
photos. Yeah.
Let me bring that up,
Yeah.
man, because I
It
was
was
actually
his pro debut.
yeah,
Yeah.
and he was big, man, as well. I thought that, you know, he's just a massive unit. I haven't looked at all of the photos yet. Okay, let me share this. I'm gonna find those questions.
I thought he was another guy that looked good.
Yeah, he's just got a huge amount of muscle, doesn't he? Like, huge amount. I'd just say he probably just needs a little bit more on the quads to balance out that massive upper body. Because look at that chest. Like, that chest is so thick on a front double bicep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, very impressive.
If you look at his side chest, the chest is ridiculous, brother. It looks, it's stupid.
I need to get to it.
Must be like just a similar thing with him and Tim, where just kind of how it fits together versus a lot of these other guys who are just more aesthetic in certain ways.
As well, it's Joe's pro debut, so
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's a side chest. Yeah. Yeah. I see what you mean.
It's
Wait, let me open
ridiculous.
it. Oh, this was the last one where he's hitting the side chest, so he's just about to go out of it.
Yeah,
But
his side chest. Oh
you see
yeah.
the thickness.
that's
Jesus.
Yeah, that's awesome. But yeah, shout out to
That's
Joe as well,
forgetting.
and it's a great pro debut, you know.
Oh yeah, that's like a Jay Cutler chest right there. His side chest and his side tricep are
what did
ridiculous.
he place?
He plays 15th, but I thought he definitely could have been higher, but it's obviously a pro debut and he's got his name out there now and we've seen him. And when you see yourself on a pro stage, also with extra muscle, I reckon you've got to sort of look at it. And I'm sure you're always pretty much better for the second contest. So if he does a few more shows, I bet he's better for the next one.
I think that he's cutting it now.
Oh, is he?
Because-
So he's wrapping it up?
Yeah, he said that he's just doing the first show. If he doesn't qualify, he's going to the off season.
Yep. Well, it's not even a bad move either, because he's like, well, okay, if I'm here and I want to change these things and want to get to that point where I can qualify, then it might be
Get straight to work.
Yeah, exactly, a good move, And Carlos, so you've done that a bit as well, haven't you? Where you've sort of just taken that time, obviously after winning your pro card.
Yeah. I took the year off, and then went to do attempting to do New York and then Texas, but my feeling is, if I can't beat these guys and if I skate in on a show to the Olympia, I'm not going to beat them anyway.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, you want to be able to, get a good win, against some quality people, because then that's how you stack up against, when the ultimate goal is to place really high at the Olympia. I don't want to just kind of squeeze in there or sneak in there off a technicality.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's get to a couple of questions and we'll wrap this thing up. So
Yes,
first question, this one was actually from a couple of weeks ago, these questions. So first question is, does your post-workout carbs matter that much? They go on to talk about how Vitago was basically used to cost, well, in Australia, it was like 70 odd bucks. I remember even if you got a big tub, it was like $110 or something. It was really, really expensive. I think mostly because it was shipped from overseas and then it would come here, distributor, goes out to supplement stores. So there's a lot of people to get their cut along the way. So it was super expensive here. And I never justified. I mean, I tried Vitago, but I couldn't justify getting a tub, and especially with how many carbs I'm having post-workout, to pay that amount of money just for a carb source, because it was very, very expensive. But does it matter that much, Robin? What do you think? Like, would you pay $100 for 2 pounds or 2 or 3 pounds of like just carbs for post-workout?
No, definitely not.
Yeah. So it's not that important to that level, or do you think that it's important enough to a level that if you're paying a bit extra, it's worthwhile?
No, I don't think it's going to make a difference in the long run in your physique or even in the short term with your performance. Like if you can't access carbohydrate powders, no problem. Like for me, I don't even really use them because a lot of them are just loaded up with sweeteners. But I'll use, if I can get like an unflavored one, I'll use that. But really, like one of the only times I ever really like need that sort of or want that the most would be like right before the stage while pumping up. But regardless, in the gym, like, you know, half the time in the gym, you could just eat a banana. I mean, what's wrong with having a banana? It's got potassium, it's got some nutrition, it's got some fast digesting carbs. I don't know why people are going to be so scared of like having some fructose. Like for God's sake, it's going to get broken down the same way more or less anyways. But yeah, I mean, just have a banana and have some EAAs. You know, I mean, I wouldn't say that your physique is going to change whatsoever because you had like the high end carb powder or anything like that. There's lots of bodies were built off of even just having, like I said, fruit or like Gatorade powder or like just friggin' waxy maize or dextrose, right?
Mm. Waxy maize back in the day, I remember that one. And then I remember there was all the things of like you have to mix at least a certain percentage of waxy maize because of the molecule weight, and so people were. I was one of those people taking 2 post-workout shakes to the gym, and then at one stage I was having an intra-workout, and I was going like the Milos route, whole thing with the, you know, and I was like natural at the time as well, so I'm not even doing like insulin or anything to really facilitate the amount of ridiculous amount of carbs I was having from fast acting carbs, but I didn't know any better. But so I had a pre-workout shake, I had an intra-workout, and then 2 post-workout shakes. So I was taking 4 shakes to the gym. It was like the most ridiculous thing, but
I've done
yeah.
that. But you know, honestly, what I did during this prep is I just have like 10 to 12 grams of organic dry oats. And I would have that like if I feel like, you know, I need some carbs during my workout, if I'm burning out or if I'm getting like low blood sugar, I'll just put the dry oats in my mouth and just chew them. And that was more than enough. Like I definitely felt like I got like a good energy spike and I was able to finish off a good workout with that. So I think, you know, just simple stuff. And honestly, like I'm more of a fan of whole foods anyway. So like a
Robin,
banana or
that
some
is the
dry
most
oats, you know.
random thing that you put dry oats in your mouth if you
Yeah.
need a bit of carbs.
My mentor, Benoit Lapierre, he told me, he's like, just try it, man. He's like, I'm like, I don't know about that. He's like, just try it. And I mean, it's also, it's a low glycemic food, so it's not gonna spike your insulin. Actually, one thing that's funny is I was actually doing like a carb HD, and I would drink that and have like 25 grams of fast acting sugar, and I would do like a set or two, and then my blood sugar would crash like almost immediately anyways. So even though I was having like 25 to 50 grams of the fast acting carbs, my blood sugar dropped faster after doing a couple working sets than if I did the 10 to 12 grams of oats, which is like 8 grams of carbs. You know what I mean? So I think it's just you have to realize that your body responds differently to certain things, and especially when it's a heavily processed food like a carb powder, something like this. I mean, again, like whole food nutrition stuff that comes from the earth versus something that's been processed and sweetened and chemically altered and natural flavors, whatever that means. So yeah, I'm just a fan of whole foods, man.
What would Eddie Abou say?
Eddie Abu would say fucking sugar is bullshit and
What the
When
fuck
the
is
air.
this shit, man? Seriously.
If he would say if you need anything to train, then you're a pussy.
Yeah, actually, he forgot what he was doing in the back in the times. But when being on the off season, that when it might matter a little when you're pushing your foot really high. But still, people don't understand one thing. When you're off season, actually our glycogen stores don't get that low. And when we are prepping, we want our glycogen reserves to be a little bit lowered so we can burn fat. If we are not depleted, we are not going to basically burn the fat because those are like layers, you know. It's like let's imagine that it's water, glycogen, fat. So to get through them, you need to actually dig a little. So you don't really need anything, but if you feel that it is like enhancing your training or so, then add a little, just a little, not like, you know, I, for example, have to add a lot since I'm eating a lot. And others, nah, not really. It's not like a must have.
It's
For me,
interesting. Sorry, you go, Carlos.
I was saying for me, it's not something like that I use typically throughout like myself because I tend to put on like muscle and size very easily and weight. Like if I wanted to blow up,
Really?
I could. Like it's
I'm joking.
it's just it's easy for me. So like I don't really need like a carb powder intra-workout, and it mostly upset my stomach. So the most I would do is maybe like I'll do coconut water, like a liter of coconut water, just because it digests
Yeah.
easy. That helps out, and you get hydration. So like that's something I'll do, and I'll add EAAs into that. So it doesn't bloat me like I've tried all carb powders, and I've tried to drink them intra-workout. They just bloat me. I'm cool with having them like post-workout or possibly pre-workout. I'll have like some maybe like 20 grams or and post-workout I'll have maybe 20, 30 grams of like some highly branched cyclic dextrin. But intra-workout, I tend to just stick with maybe just some coconut water and some EAAs. And that it's not a lot. Like I know guys can push up to like 50, 60, 70, 80 grams of carbs. I'm like, I can't do that. I'll probably just do maybe 20, maybe 20, 20, 20, 20 pre, 20 intra, and then 20 at post workout. And that's if I need it. But I don't think it's a necessity. You can get by just doing some a good pre-workout and post-workout nutrition. It's not necessary intra, and I don't think it's necessary around like your peri-workout window. I don't think it's necessary at all. So, what I mean? If you got the money for it, you could put money around, what I mean? Do what you're going to do. It's your life. But, what I mean? I don't think you have to spend money on it.
Yeah. No, absolutely, man. I think that's a good point, because I think sometimes guys spend their money in the wrong spots, especially being younger. It seems like the go-to thing now is obviously the pre-workouts and things like that, which, they have their place, and they're way better than they used to be in terms of the actual ingredients and the actual benefits in terms of increasing the pump and all that sort of stuff. But when you're talking about carb powders and intra-workouts and stuff, I know for me, like you said, Carlos, it bloats you. I think it's the sweeteners in a lot of them, to be honest, because a lot of them would mess up my gut. And sometimes I'd take it and be like, okay, this is an intra-workout, and I'd find the benefit of it actually to be good. But while you're training and your gut's like, oh, and it's just, I just know I'm drinking it and it's almost instant. It feels like that whatever's hitting in there. And I don't think it's just the carbs. Maybe it's a combination of the two, but I could drink it at, if it was unsweetened, and I know that it would be fine, Yeah. So, yeah. But anyway, guys, we went long on that question, so we might wrap it up there. And I want to thank you for giving all your time. Dawid. I'm struggling, man.
Whatever you.
Yeah, I'll just go with whatever, and I'll just say it with confidence next time. So, thanks so much for coming on the podcast as well. For your first time on the channel, Desktop Bodybuilding, Carlos Thomas Jr. Thank you as always, my man. Are you doing stuff on YouTube at the moment?
I'm gonna get back into it. Yeah, we're gonna be documenting just the upcoming progression season, getting some Dana Life, some intra-workout. I mean, not intra-workout. So I'm talking about intra-workout. Some workouts. Got my head think about intra-workouts. Some workouts and things like that. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. We're gonna get back into the content, and yeah, it's gonna be a good time.
Oh yeah, man. And Robin as well, you're doing all your stuff as well. Obviously doing the Canadian Beef podcast and everything you're doing with your prep. Obviously 13 days out.
Yeah, I've been putting actually a lot of YouTube content up. I've got like maybe 5 videos in the last week that I put up, and I've been doing a video at least every week leading into this prep. So I'll try to keep that going throughout the rest of the season to the Olympia and beyond. So yeah, I appreciate everybody who's been following along on my personal channel as well as on Canadian Beef.
And follow all you guys, because you all have YouTube channels, right? Obviously, yeah, you all do, yeah. So
yeah,
and
but
check
Dawid
out
Dawid is in Polish, so you have to be able to speak fucking Polish if you want to listen to his stuff.
Or you can use the subtitles.
Dude, the subtitles are actually good now. I've watched some of Urz's videos, and a few times I've sort of clicked on them. I'm like, is this English? And it's not English, and I'm like, nah. But I actually watched it with the subtitles, and I hate subtitles, man. I'm like, don't make me work for my video. I don't want to read. But yeah, when he's came on, it was actually quite funny, and to see him like interacting and joking with these young kids in the gym and stuff, I'm like, oh, this is entertaining. I like this. So yeah, they can check out all your guys' channels. The links are in the description below. And yeah, thank you guys so much for doing this, especially last minute a bit for some of you guys as well. So thank you so much. So that's it for myself, Xavier Wills, Carlos Thomas Jr., Dawid, and also Robin Strand. For all this at Desktop Bodybuilding. Oh, thumbs up. And Bodybuilding University, we are out. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Bodybuilding University, and if you did, give the video a thumbs up, smash that like button, and also subscribe and click the notification bell button. And that's particularly important because this is on a new channel compared to the original Desktop Bodybuilding channel. Now, both channels will still be running. The original channel will have more bodybuilding news, and this one will have the podcast and interviews. So make sure you subscribe, and if you're not subscribed to the original Desktop Bodybuilding channel, head over there and subscribe to that as well. Anyway, guys, that's it for this one. For all the guys at Bodybuilding University and myself, Xavier Wills, we are out.